Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. I'm Theo, that's Nick. This is the Drafted Up Podcast. Today, we continue on our divisional breakdowns as we dive on into the NFC East. How you doing,
division.
Nick?
Good.
Yeah, your
doing
division.
My division, baby.
Yeah.
This time around.
Yeah.
So
started with my division. It was a good one. A lot of talent and same goes here for the NFC East. Pretty jazzed to talk about this division for sure.
Oh yeah, I love talking the East, dude. NFC East is always solid, always has been since I was a little kid. Obviously, the Giants aren't what they used to be, but hey, man, we're always been up and down, so we'll be back at some point.
There was that one season where like everyone was shit. I don't remember what year it was, but like everyone was like under 500, and then everyone was like, "Oh, it's the NFC least," and then since then. It's been a turnaround, like consistently one of the better divisions in football. Last year, a little top heavy, two really good teams, two really bad teams. We'll see how that turns out this year. Because both those bottom teams, being you guys and the Washington Commanders, had nice little off seasons, improved some needs that needed to be addressed.
Here and there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Washington more so than us.
There was a trade in this division recently, like a few days ago, and that is the Washington Commanders sent their number 2 wide receiver, Jahan Dotson, over to the Philadelphia Eagles, where he will likely be the 3. So, Dotson, I dropped him a little bit in the rankings. I don't think he's going to be as relevant in fantasy. I wouldn't even bother.
I don't think he's going to be any type of fantasy relevant as Philly's slot receiver, but I think he's going to be a lot more utilized in Philly than he would have been in Washington, because their reports in Washington were really bad the last couple of weeks, that he was fighting just for the spot on the team, and it turned out that he was fighting for a spot on the team, and they dipped his ass to Philly. For pretty cheap, too, I will admit. There was like a 3rd and a 7th for Dotson and a 5th or something like that.
Yep.
But I think he's going to do pretty good if given the chance at the slot in Philly. I love Dotson. I think he's going to have some type of impact in Philly, but it's not going to be fantasy relevant.
Yeah, real. I think it helps Hurts more than it does anything else. All right, let's dive. We'll start off with last year's division winner, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. They finished 12-5 last year. Current betting odds are plus 170 for them, which puts them in second. Projected win total of 9.5. They were 14th in the league in rushing, 3rd in the league in passing. Let's start there. Dak Prescott, the most underrated quarterback in football.
I was going to say, Dak's so underrated in fantasy and real life. Like, real life, maybe even more so than fantasy. And that's saying a lot because he's going at what, like QB9, QB9, that's
QB9
crazy.
With a average draft position mid-7th. Dallas, they got him his weapon. CeeDee Lamb signed. Big deal.
Money. Yes, sir.
Second biggest contract for a non-quarterback in NFL history, behind Justin Jefferson. So they got him locked up, but Dak playing on the final year of his deal. They can't franchise him, so there's a chance this man is on the market next year for the Cowboys.
I think regardless of whatever happens, he's hitting the market. It's going to be like the Kirk Cousins thing. He's going to test the market. And if Dallas is going to have a chance to hop in there, obviously, for him, but he's going to set the bar for quarterbacks, I think. He's going to be the highest paid quarterback for sure.
Yeah, he always is. He's always setting the bar for the quarterbacks. Yeah. Cowboys are always paying him that. But he'll get that elsewhere if he does leave. I know briefly I've brought it up like that. I'd love to see him go to Miami, but they've locked up Tua, so that knocks them out of the race. But being pending free agency, I don't think it's going to affect Dak Prescott's performance on the field this year. Like, he's being drafted QB9. I have him as my 4th ranked quarterback in a 6 touchdown league for passing touchdowns. And I just think he's a stud. I think he's great value. I love trying to stack up the Cowboys. Like, it's a team you can stack. Like, if you draft early, you can get the Dak CD stack, or if you're not able to get CeeDee Lamb, getting Jake Ferguson and Dak Prescott is feasible. It's something you can easily do in your draft.
It's very doable for sure. I have him at my QB5, which is still way higher than his ADP. He finished last year's QB3. So we have him under where he finished last year. The offense hasn't changed at all. He still has CD, and that's what really matters. Like, if CD wasn't there, I'd be heavily concerned.
Yeah, for sure.
CD's locked up. It's not a concern. Dak Prescott, his ceiling is literally one.
QB1.
Yeah, he could be one.
He could throw 40 last year. This year.
100%. And especially with Ferguson, I think Ferguson's going to have a nice little year. He's heavily touchdown dependent. So that's what you're looking at. When you draft Ferguson, he has to hit on the touchdowns. But in Dallas's offense, that's doable. And he's the second option. They do have Brandon Cooks, correct?
Yes, he's Brandon Cooks, and then it's the tail of Jalen's. They got like 3 Jalen's after Brandon Cooks on the depth chart.
Brandon Cooks was heavily touchdown dependent last year, I'm pretty sure. I think he had 8 touchdowns. Okay, so yeah. But again, that's redoable for Brandon Cooks, and he's going almost undrafted at the end of the draft.
13th round, wide receiver 61 currently.
Yeah. So if you end up taking a ton of running backs, you need like a very safe floor receiver. Brandon Cooks can go out there and get a touchdown pretty much almost every week. He's capable of doing that in Dallas's offense.
Yeah, so like I said, he's currently going as the 61st wide receiver. We, as a collective, have him as 51, so 10 spots higher than his current projected total. Yeah, and I love Jake Ferguson. I've said it here before. He is one of my favorite tight end targets. Like, if I miss out on one of those top 4 guys in my rankings, I usually just wait and snag Jake. And, like, he's actually my bold prediction. He leads tight ends in touchdown passes this year. All receptions.
I knew what you meant. Definitely possible for the kind of offense Dallas has. They're very pass heavy. We didn't even mention that blanking on his name. Tony Pollard isn't there anymore. So it replaced him with
we would have got there, but
they replaced him with Zeke, who was pretty bad last year. And I don't know, dude. They're not going to be running nearly as much. I don't think they're going to try to, but I don't think it's going to be as productive. And Tony Pollard wasn't necessarily that productive last year.
He was fine. It was a lack of touchdowns. Compared to where he was drafted, that's the problem. He was drafted as a fringe first, mid-second round guy, and he finished top 15 last year. It was just a lack of touchdowns, but like they tried running in the red zone, and that's where Jake Ferguson came in. Like, he had like the 3rd most targets of like anyone in football in the red zone. We have him at tight end 9, which is where he's being drafted. His ADP's at 803. I think that's great value. I'd be fine taking him over Kyle Pitts, maybe not George Kittle, definitely over Njoku, who we have under him. Like, I'd put him on par with Ingram. I think Ingram's a safer option just because he's going to bring in a boatload of catches, but I think Jake Ferguson's touchdown upside is incredible compared to Ingram, who's probably not going to break 5.
I agree. I think Evan Ingram's way safer, though. I have Ingram up there with like the safe tight ends in the top 5, 6 guys. I wouldn't put him near George Kittle, but I have him right there with Njoku, who was my tight end last year. He was crazy helpful in the back end of the stretch. And if you get any type of production out of Jake Ferguson, Njoku finished tight end 6 last year, I think. So I'd be happy with that if Jake Ferguson pulled that off.
Yeah. Jake Ferguson, real pleasant surprise last year, really was like off the radar. Like, Dallas let Dalton Schultz go, and like everyone's like, they don't have a tight end. They drafted Luke Schoonmaker, and then it was Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson came in and produced. Dak Prescott loves his tight end. So that's why I'm really in on Jake Ferguson. Brandon Cooks is fine. Good dart throw at the end of the draft. CeeDee Lamb, obviously superstar. Like, bearing injury, he's a top 5 guy.
For sure.
Jalen Tolbert, I'm not even going there. I just don't think there's any work. So then that does leave the running game with Ezekiel Elliott coming back and then Rico Dowdle. I'm way more in on Rico Dowdle than I am Zeke. Zeke's currently 100%. Going as the RB37. He's going at the end of the 10th. Rico Dowdle's going RB43, going at the end of the 12th. So the difference isn't too much. It's only 2 rounds, but I'm just going to go with the younger, more explosive guy. Like, if you've watched like any training camp videos and you see Zeke doing stuff, he's gassed. He's pulling up like an old man. Like, he might as well be 40, not 29. Like, that's just how his body, like, the dude's got a ton of work on his body.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to break down. He was pretty ineffective last year. He was bolstered by, PPR stuff, like the Patriots were
Receptions.
just spamming him catches when Ramondre was out.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just don't think that's going to happen in Dallas. I think it's going to eventually shift to Rico Dowdle. I'm in on his value. You want a piece of this offense, like we said, like target those great offenses, and like you want to get a running game, and like statistics show, like running backs drafted outside like the top 50, there's always like one or two that sneak into the top 20 at their position. And like I think Dallas is one of those ones targeting it, specifically Rico Dowdle. Like if you want to take a shot on Zeke and you think Zeke's going to be the guy and he's going to get touchdowns, that's fine. Like Zeke is going to, you need him to score. I think that's the only way he's going to be effective. I think Dowdle provides that Pollard upside where like he can be productive without touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. Zeke's not going off last season, the 2 years before that, he had 12 and 10 touchdowns. So both years he had over double digits. Last year he had 3. And you've really seen it. He didn't even average 3.5 a carry. He was under that. Like you said, he was boosted by his receptions. He had 51 receptions on 65 targets.
There was that game he had like 13.
Crazy. Yeah. He was amazing at the back end of the season just based off his reception work. It was very similar to Breece Hall and the Jets. He couldn't run versus shit, but the difference is Breece Hall had a terrible offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, New England's line was pretty bad, though.
It's bad, but Zeke is bad. It wasn't like Breece Hall like that way.
He's aged.
Yeah. It's also amazing that he's under 30. Like, I feel like Zeke has been playing forever, dude.
Prolific college career and highly drafted, so he's just been in the mindset for a long time. And Dallas also not a team that, excuse me, dumps it off to their running backs very often. Like, Dak's a good quarterback where he'll find a guy in the middle of the field. So, like, not a ton of receiving work in this backfield, and that's why I'm kind of just punting it. But I do like Rico Dowdle's value in the 12. Like, if you get it, he hits and he's a top 20 back, you have a potential league winner.
Yeah, for sure. Like the guys going around Zeke, I would rather just take the chance on them. Like Brian Robinson's going a couple picks before him. Even Cortland Sutton after him, Gus Edwards, Chase Brown. I would rather just throw a shot at any of those guys. Yeah. But then if you want to kick it back 2 rounds to where Rico is, I'm fine taking Rico as a dart throw. But it is what it is. I'm pretty much out on Zeke, though, for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here to second place. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. They finished 11-6. They have minus 125 odds to win the division. That puts them at first. Projected win total of 10.5. They were 8th in rushing, 17th in passing. Like we said at the top of the show, they acquired Jahan Dotson. So that boosters the passing game, I think, for Jalen Hurts. Philly usually doesn't utilize 3 receivers. Like, this is not like Sirianni's thing, but Kellen Moore frequently did so. Like, he ran some 3 receiver sets. Like, Dallas had 3 productive receivers when he was there with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, the other one whose mind is blank, wasn't CeeDee Lamb, whoever their other receiver was back then. But then, like, it transitioned to CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. Like, they had got 3 guys over 600 receiving yards. So Kellen Moore does utilize that more. I think it's going to be a clashing thing. Like, I don't like Nick Sirianni. I'll put that out there. I don't think he's a good coach. I think he's just a placeholder. He's just a fine coach. I think he's a middle of the pack guy. Like, my bold prediction for the Eagles is that Nick Sirianni is fired before season's end. I don't think the players like him. I think he lost the locker room last year, and like, Philadelphia's super talented team. I think coaching is going to get in the way a bit this season. I think they're going to be a team who's really fantasy relevant, but I don't know if they're going to win a ton of games. Like, I don't think they get their projected total of 10.5.
See, I think they're going to hit that, but if anything that does happen to stop them, it's going to be Sirianni. He's not an elite coach for sure, but he's fine. He gets the job done. And when you have nothing but talent surrounding you on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, you have a good coaching staff around you, and you have the best GM in football. Like, Howie's out here always making deals, always making moves. Philly's going to be fine. I think they hit the 10.5 for sure. They have my QB1, an RB in the top 5, and a receiver in the top 5. And then Smith's right outside the top 12. Like, they're loaded, dude. I love Philly. I've been on the podcast saying it. I'm nowhere near an Eagles fan. But when it comes to fantasy football, fucking go Birds, dude. Like whatever we're talking about, I'm all in on pretty much every single Eagle.
Yeah. So Jalen Hurts, he's currently going as the second quarterback at the 310. You have him over Allen. I don't, but I think him, Mahomes, and Allen are in the same tier. They're the top tier quarterbacks. Like you could put Lamar there, but I think I would put Lamar a tier under them. But like I think like any of those three guys should be the first quarterback drafted in your league, and it's going that way. Like Josh Allen's going early third, Jalen Hurts is going at the end of the third. So is Pat Mahomes. I do want to see Hurts sling it a little more. Like that's something he hasn't done a ton of. Like it's been a lot of rushing workload, 15 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, consistent double-digit touchdowns as a rusher, but he's never broke 4,000 passing yards. I do hope they open up the playbook. I hope Kellen Moore is just like, let's sling it some. I'd love to see him do that.
He's the coordinator to do it for sure. He has crazy high-powered offenses, but I still don't think it's going to switch up too much. I think he's going to be close to the 4,000-yard mark. He might not break it, and I honestly don't care if he does or not. But I do want him to be around it, pretty close to it when it comes to fantasy relevant wise. But I think the double-digit touchdowns are going to be pretty close to those as well.
Rushing wise, yeah.
Yeah, obviously Barkley is way more talented than Swift was last year or ever has been. So I think Barkley's going to eat into the touchdown work a little bit, but I don't think it's enough to be concerned about.
Yeah, if they're at the 1 or 2, it's still going to Jalen Hurts.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. Saquon Barkley, he is going at the 202. He is currently being drafted as the running back 6. I am lower on Barkley than majority. Like in our group stat out, you and Merck both have him at 4 currently. So we have him at RB5. I have him at 8. I don't know. Something worries me about Saquon Barkley. I just don't like where he's going. Like, the Eagles, like their running backs don't score a ton of touchdowns, and it's the Jalen Hurts show when it comes to the red zone. And Jalen Hurts also not a guy who dumps off to his running back a ton. So like, I just think he's not going to get near as much utilization as he got in New York, because he got everything there.
Yeah.
Like Philly, I have him as he's like the 4th or 5th option potentially.
See, I see him as like the second option for sure. They're paying him money. They've never paid a running back money. The combined running back room last year with the 3 guys is less than Barkley's making right now. They're going to use the hell out of Barkley. Howie Roseman's not going to pay a running back $12, $13 million a year to not use him often. He's going to be heavily used, and I also think he's going to be heavily used in the passing game. I think his PPR, I think his reception number could possibly be like 60, 70 catches.
Yeah, see, I just don't see that. And I think that's why I'm lower on him. Like, as we do our rankings based off PPR, and I just don't think he's going to get that sort of target share, just because like the Eagles aren't going to pass a ton, like attempt wise, because Jalen Hurts is not his style. So like, when they are going to pass, like it's going to go to AJ Brown, it's going to go to Devonta Smith, and then like it's Barkley and Goddard. Like Goddard had huge involvement when he was healthy. So like I'm also worried about Saquon's health. Like he's got a lot of wear and tear. 1,200 carries since he entered the league. So like there is wear and tear on that body plus a ton of college work. So like I do worry about him staying healthy. But like I think
it's 20 less pass attempts than Josh Allen last year. I'm perfectly fine with that. He had 350 something. I'm cool with that. No, I'm sorry. That was completions. He had 538 attempts, which was 40 less than Josh Allen. That's a perfectly fine number.
Yeah, but like he's not one to dump off though. Like that's not his game. He'd rather run. That's why I'm worried. Like I just don't see him changing that. Like he's not going to change his way just to dump the ball off to Saquon Barkley.
Barkley's talented, dude. He's going to be dipping it out to Barkley at points. Barkley's elite in the screen game, out of the backfield catches. They're going to like. It's not going to be Jalen Hurts dipping it. It's going to be designed plays to Barkley in the backfield. That's the kind of running back he is.
I just don't see him getting. I see him getting slightly more targets than DeAndre Swift had last year, which was 49. I think I had him at. Do I have my targets here? I had him at 62. with only 40 catches, 45. But
I think
but I only have him scoring 7 total touchdowns.
I think he's gonna have way more than that. He had 10 last year with a horrendous offensive line. He had 6 rushing, 4 receiving. He had 10 total touchdowns last year. I think he's gonna get that for sure in Philly.
See, I don't, just because
it's a way
AJ
more
Brown's
talented
there.
team. That doesn't
Everyone
matter.
else is there.
Yeah, and they all score. Philly scores a bunch, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just worried about Barkley. It's more so I just don't like where he's going. I'm an RB8. He's going RB5. I'd rather him at the back of the second than the beginning of the second.
See, I'm cool taking him in the back end of the first. He's my running back 4. I would perfectly be fine if like the board fell to where Brees, Bijan, McCaffrey are already obviously gone, and then you're in that running back territory where it's Barkley, Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor. I'm taking him over all those guys, except maybe Kyron Williams. It's him and Williams at 4 and 5. I think those guys are in their own tier after the top 3.
I'd rather take my shot on Gibbs than
See,
Barkley.
I would not. I think Gibbs is way undersized. He's in a crazy crowded backfield, and he also has crazy weapons around him. Like he could be the 4th option.
He'll be the 3rd option in the passing game.
Yeah, and then the 4th option if you want to put Montgomery over him in the red zone.
But he's not gonna. His touchdowns will be all breakaways. Like I have Saquon Barkley in the same tier as Travis Etienne. It's just workhorse guys who are just fine. I don't have them as 1st-round dudes.
Yeah, see, I would put Gibbs in with ETN, but I'm putting Barkley up there with Kyron Williams in their own tier. I think those guys are way more talented than those other guys.
Let's talk about the passing game, though. A.J. Brown, he's currently going wide receiver 6, back end of the first.
Mm-hmm.
We're higher on him. We have him at 5. I mean, I have him at 6, so I'm on par, but I interchange him and Jefferson daily. I'm constantly switching them up, but like I had a draft yesterday, and both were on the board, and I went with A.J. Brown. I chose the player with the better quarterback. That was my tiebreaker there. Same tier guys.
That's what it comes down to, for sure.
Devonta Smith, though, he's the one that's kind of the outlier. He's going at wide receiver 23 right now. Barely a wide receiver 2. Going at the 404. We have him at wide receiver 18. So I have him at 20, and you have him at 14.
Yeah. I put him down. I have him at 15 right now, but 15, yeah, okay. He is in that range for sure.
Yeah, so you're a little higher on Smith than I am.
Yep.
But I mean, you have Hurts 1, so like obviously you boosted the Eagles more than I have. But like at 404, like again, just like we said with Dak, like you can easily stack Dak with his weapons. You can do that with Hurts too. Like you can get A.J. Brown in the first, get Hurts in the 3rd, or you can get Hurts and Devonta on the 3-4 turn.
Yes, sir.
Or if you really want, you can get Goddard.
Sure. He's the one Eagle I'm pretty much out on, but the way I look at it is if he falls, I'd happen to take him depending on the tight end board. It depends on how the tight end board. He is my tight end 15 right now, so it would take a crazy amount for me to draft Dallas Goedert. But Devontae Smith, though, I'm way more in than ADP. I think he's a super safe option in Philly, especially if Goddard goes down, which he misses a ton of work. When Goddard misses time, Smith's production like doubles, dude. It gets crazy. Where he's arguably a receiver 1 at some weeks. So,
but like you got to bank
Smith
on an injury for that. Which,
well, see, I think they're going to use him more with the new offense, new coordinator. I think they're both these guys are moving around. Like the reports out of Philly are like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are never not in motion now. To compare where last year they never moved. They were always set in their spots. They always knew what corner was covering them. And now these guys are constantly in motion, dude. And I think it's gonna be crazy, dude. Yeah.
And they're playing the slot more, and the slot receiver in the Kellen Moore offense is incredibly productive, and they're both splitting roles there. I do think like 2022, Devonta Smith had 95 catches. Last year he had 81. I think he's going to be closer to the 90. I think touchdowns will be about the same, 7. And he's going to get close to 1,200 yards. Like, the dude's a superstar.
Yeah.
Like,
he won the Heisman Trophy for a reason in college. Like, he's always been productive.
Yeah. My only fear with him is that the majority of his production has come when Dallas Goedert was hurt. So like that does worry me a bit. But if Nick Sirianni's more hands off with the offense and let Kellen Moore do his thing, I'm not worried about Goddard being involved there. Goddard though, he's going as tight end 12.
Yeah.
At the 10-6. I have him at 16.
15.
We have him I have him at 16.
I said
myself.
15 for me. No, for me, 15.
Yeah, so we have him 15th overall, but like, he's a guy who's never hit his draft position at tight end. So like going at tight end 12, you're putting him as a tight end 1. I'd rather take my shot elsewhere. Like, I'm sure he's got a good floor play, but like he doesn't score touchdowns. It's a crowded offense. Like, there is the world, like, I don't think Saquon Barkley gets a ton of targets, like I said when we talked about him, but there's a world where, like, Dallas Goedert's phased out of this offense and Saquon Barkley gets his targets.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just, I don't want the weak spot of the offense, per se, sans Jahan Dotson. So, like, I'm way out at that. Like, even if I would do the classic, take TJ Hawkinson, throw him on my IR, Goddard's usually not the guy I'm going to target. I'm going to target someone with upside like Jonnu Smith, or, if I want to take a boring tight end, I'll take Tyler Conklin because Aaron Rodgers loves that guy.
Hell yeah. If Dallas Goedert was looked at as like a streaming tight end option, I would love it. I would love to play the matchup off of Dallas Goedert every week. Like, if I could go to the waiver wire and see Dallas Goedert's playing the 32nd ranked defense for tight ends, I'll happily start him. But that's just not how the fantasy community sees Goddard because he's in this elite offense.
But we're slowly starting to get there. Like 2-3 years ago, he was drafted as a top 7 guy. Now he's tight end 12. So like
we're getting there.
I think if he doesn't hit that this year, like Dallas Goedert's a guy who you're taking at the end of the draft because he has a good week 1 matchup.
100%. And I think that's what Dallas Goedert is. I think he's a really good streaming option tight end based off matchup because Philly doesn't use him the way the fantasy world wants him to use him. And like you said, he doesn't hit his ADP. So if he's going 12, realistically, I think he's going to finish a couple spots under that, where I have him 15, you have him 16. So I could see that playing out.
Yep. And crowded offense, you got to figure out where to get the ball. And Dallas Goedert's not going to be a guy who's going to command targets.
Yeah. Real quick, back to the receivers in motion thing. I think that's going to really also help Jalen Hurts read defenses a lot more. Because when you put guys in motion, you could really see what the defense is running. If they're running man zone, I think it's going to open up his playbook. His passing offense is really going to increase. So I really hope fucking Moore knows how to use Hurts the proper way, which I think he does. And I honestly see it coming. Like, the missing puzzle piece is going to be put in for Jalen Hurts this year.
Kellen Moore is going to be this team's head coach.
I mean, when Kellen Moore was back in Dallas, everyone was saying he's going to be like the next great head coach. I hope to God it pans out, dude. Like, he might not be, but
he's still going to be an elite tier offensive coordinator.
Exactly, and that's what
wherever he ends up.
He is for sure going to be like an amazing offensive coordinator, and I love that he landed with this elite talent in Philly.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Giants.
Oh,
your team.
Well, I'd rather not.
6-11 last year, plus 2,000 to win the division, which puts them in 4th.
As we should
projected win total of 6.5.
Generous.
They were 18th in rushing, 31st in passing last year. Danny Jones is back, baby. He's back. No Tommy DeVito.
Thank God.
Yep. No Drew Lock, maybe. Drew Lock maybe, but didn't look great in the preseason. No,
he's
so like he didn't do anything.
Dude.
Yeah. Daniel Jones ADP. He's not being drafted.
Yeah.
In standard 15 to 16 round leagues, he's going as the quarterback 26. Daniel Jones's big thing was the rushing upside, but he's coming off an ACL injury. He's coming off this bad neck. Like, I don't know how much Daniel Jones is going to want to run the ball or how effective he's going to be running the ball. He grew a beard.
That was good.
I think that's the biggest upside here for Daniel Jones. He grew a beard.
Makes
him look less like a little baby boy.
He's on the rise when it comes to the ladies, but his skill wise is still on the down. It's on the down.
Still there. This is it for Daniel Jones. He's got to do something this year. Or he's out the door. I know your big thing is Dak Prescott to New York next year. Daniel Jones, and like you see that in the offense, like in terms of like who's being drafted for the Giants, and it's Daniel Jones, Devin Singletary, and Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, that's it.
Tyrone Tracy, if you're in a 16 round league, he is going in the 16th round. And then Wan'Dale and Jalen Hyatt are going like in like the 17th if you're in real deep leagues.
That's kind of crazy. I think Wan'Dale has a legitimate shot to be fantasy relevant in a PPR league for sure.
I actually love taking a shot on Jalen Hyatt. I think he could be something special. I think Malik Neighbors is going to open things up down the field for him potentially. It's just going to be a matter if Daniel Jones can get the ball down there.
Yeah, but guess what? Darius Slayton's still on the team, and he's he's the downfield guy because he has been the last 4 years. And Daniel Jones loves that guy, and he's going to finish with like 600, 700 yards like he does every single season somehow. And he's probably going to be the wide receiver too on this team. Like he's always slept on as like he's not going to be used at all because no one on like the coaching staff ever loves this guy. And then it just turns out that he's somehow more talented than every other receiver on the team. But that's not the case with Malik Neighbors there, obviously. But he's still going to be in the mix.
On the Giants depth chart, you guys come out in 11 personnel, 3 receiver sets, and it's Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson, and then they have Jalen Hyatt and Darius Slayton listed as first-team guys together. Yeah. So they're splitting that deep shot role. I do think Jalen Hyatt takes it over, though. I think Jalen Hyatt,
I'd hope so.
Get him in best ball. I also love just taking a shot at him at the end of a draft because he's free. He's free. But Malik Neighbors, he was my wide receiver too, coming into the rookie class. I loved him. You guys, you always preferred Rome.
Yeah, I like Rome, dude. I like Rome. There's nothing wrong with Rome. Rome's still talented, dude. What the fuck are we talking about? You're shitting on Rome?
No, I'm just saying Malik Neighbors is that dude, and from the start. Rome's not going to be that dude from the start.
He can't be. The opportunity's not there. If you would have put Rome on the Giants, the opportunity's there.
Yeah, but I think Malik Neighbors would outperform Keenan Allen right off the bat. I just think he has that mentality to him.
Oh, well, he does for sure.
There's just something about those LSU guys where they are just down and dirty, and I love Malik Neighbors, and he's currently going wide receiver 24 at the 404, which would be the highest drafted rookie receiver of all time in redraft, if not for Marvin Harrison. We're both higher on Neighbors. I have him at 21, and you have him at 20. I have him at 22. You have him at 20.
Yeah.
So we're both higher than his ADP. I
want to put him higher. I want to keep putting him higher. I just can't. I just feel bad. I want to put him over Marv.
You hate Marvin Harrison.
I do not hate Marvin Harrison. The fantasy world is slowly getting me there, though. He should not be going in the back end of the first round. Like, come on, dude. No, stop. For him to have to hit that ADP, he's going to need like 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. And that's going to be really hard for him to do. And there's nothing wrong if he doesn't hit his ADP, but the fantasy world is going to bitch and complain about it. And God forbid if Marvin Harrison goes out there. But God forbid if he goes out there and has 80 catches, 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns, and that's a letdown. The dude just had 8 touchdowns, 80 catches, and 1,200 yards in a rookie season. The dude's amazing.
I think if the roles were reversed and Malik Neighbors was with Kyler Murray, he'd be drafted up towards this range as well with Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, but if Marv was still on the Giants, he'd still be going obnoxiously early.
See, I think he'd be going a little bit higher than where Neighbors is currently going. I think he'd be going at like that wide receiver 17 to 20 range.
I think he'd be like the back end of the second round.
And I think Malik Neighbors would be in the 12 to 15 range if they were on different teams.
You think Malik would be going over him?
Yes, because he would have been drafted before him.
I get that, but
if he was in Arizona,
I still think the fantasy world would be like Marvin Harrison.
There's also a really good quarterback there in Arizona, and there's not a really good quarterback in New York.
No, but there's also someone competing for receptions in Arizona with Trey McBride. That's not happening in New York. There's also a really good running back in Arizona. That's not happening in New York.
But then you can make that case that makes it easier for Marvin Harrison, though.
Easier, sure, but then Malik Neighbors should out-target him, though.
But not good targets.
Mm.
I think there's a chance Malik Neighbors does out-target him because he's the only guy, but like...
I think he will.
I think it could be a case like Garrett Wilson where he's getting 140 targets, but like 55% of them aren't deemed catchable, and somehow Malik Neighbors only has 80 catches.
You just compared Daniel Jones to Zach Wilson, and that's kind of outrageous.
No, I'm saying
Zach Wilson.
I'm just saying the
bad
target share, like just that many targets.
Yeah, but
Malik
the targets
Neighbors, that's
would
in
be,
the world,
but they'd be better. I think Malik Neighbors' rookie season is going to be very similar to Jalen Waddle's, where he had a crazy amount of targets and he had like 100 some catches, but he only had like 1,000 yards. He barely broke 1,000 yards. I think that's the route Malik is going to take his rookie year. But I think him and Marv are going to be very, very close when it comes to the end of the year. Way closer than their ADPs.
Yeah. So would you take Neighbors at his ADP at 404 currently?
Yeah, we do a ton of mocks. I usually I'll take Malik on the swing in the third, fourth. So like the beginning of the fourth round, I'll take Malik Neighbors.
So I'm content taking both of them at their ADP. Like I think Marv's that. Like I also think having Marv and Harrison is going to be a ton of fun.
See, I'd rather wait. I'd rather wait till the fourth and take Malik. Like
then I would take both of them together.
Oh no, that's too risky for this guy.
I don't care.
Nope.
So much fun.
Yeah, it's not fun when both guys finish below their ADP because they're rookie receivers, and you don't have a fantasy ship to show for it at the end of the season, and that's not fun. That's not fun, TJ.
The rookie receivers tend to hit on their hit rate, like where they're going. It's just to have Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors are going insanely high currently.
We have no information on receivers being drafted this high rookie-wise. None. Zero.
Rookie receivers usually pay off.
Yeah, because they're getting drafted in the 8th and the 9th and the 10th. Yeah. Marv going in the first.
I think Marv and Malik are both insanely good. I thought that through the draft process, and I'm content to so Marvin Harrison's at wide receiver 8 currently.
That's crazy.
9. He's going to. I have him lower. Like I have him at 10.
Yeah,
but he's going at 9. So and like Neighbors is going at 24, and I have him higher. He's going at 20. I have him 22. Like I'm just in on both those guys. I think they're insanely talented dudes. And I think if you're willing to take them at their ADP, they could easily win you a league. And also, they could also be your downfall as well. But, I lean more towards the upside of both those players.
I have Marv at wide receiver 16, and I don't think that's outlandish, dude. Like, the 15 guys I have above him are elite wide receivers, dude.
All right. Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary, they're the running backs here. I love Tyrone Tracy. My bold prediction is that he is the starting running back for this team come, week 10, and he's going to outproduce Devin Singletary. I just like the talent, and I liked it in the draft process.
It's not
if you watched Hard Knocks, the Giants loved him through the draft process.
Yeah, but then you're also skipping that they love Devin Singletary.
They do like Devin Singletary.
Devin Singletary is like the favorite guy in this team. Like, they love Devin Singletary.
But Devin Singletary is not the type of running back who can... Well, he's not going to blow you away. He's replaceable. And if your team is bad, you're going to want to see what the guys behind him have. And that's where Tyrone Tracy comes into play. You want to see, hey, is this guy the running back next year?
No, he's not. Because it took him 6 years to come into the NFL as a receiving running back. He's like Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson's not a number 1 running back. He's a really good, fine backup. And that's what Tyrone Tracy's going to be as. He was like a 5th round pick. Devin Singletary's going to be the guy all season. For sure. I would lock it in. As the Giants fan on the pod, I have Singletary way higher than you guys. I have him at 27, I think. I have him right down. I have him right around where Gus Edwards is going, and I'd be fine taking him there. I don't think Tyrone Tracy's going to be much of anything besides I wouldn't even be comfortable starting as a flex guy at some point.
I like Tracy. I like the dart throw just because I don't think Devin Singletary's a guy who can hold down a position. He's not going to blow you away. And if the team's bad,
fucking killed it last year, dude.
He did play well, so well that Houston traded for Joe Mixon and let Devin Singletary walk, even though they could have got him for dirt cheap.
You are correct, but let's see. Yeah. He finished ranked RB 15. Okay, 26, 36, 8, 16, 30.
He's a 4. He's a fine player, but again, it's just like DeAndre Swift, like 3 teams in 3 years.
It's because they're running backs. They bounce around, and they're yeah. It's 3 teams in 3 years, but they're all starting. They start where they go.
Yeah, he's a guy who can hold, a spot down for a bit, but like I just don't think he has long-term value, and I think that's why Tyrone Tracy. Like, I'm not going to take Tyrone Tracy over Devin Singletary in a draft. I'm not saying that. I just think
is Tyrone Tracy even being drafted?
He is going in the 16th round. So if you play his 16 rounds, he is most leagues 15. So no. But I think Tyrone Tracy is just a guy to keep an eye on, just because Devin Singletary, like, he's been unproductive before. Like, he wasn't great in Buffalo. He was just fine. Like, last year he was good in Houston. Like, he was a fantasy relevant guy. Like, start, lock in, but like, he was never a lock and start kind of guy in Buffalo. Like, Buffalo wanted to get him out of town.
But he was never the only running back in Buffalo.
He was Zach Moss.
Yeah, and Zach Moss is still in the league as a starting running back.
Yeah, but Zach Moss was terrible in Buffalo.
Yeah, there was 100% another running back on that team that was not one of them 2 guys. Devin Singletary was never the starting running back in Buffalo.
Like I like Singletary. I think he's a fine option. I just don't think, like, he's never broke 900 yards in a season. So in Buffalo, he started his 4 years there. He started 16, 17, 16, 12. That's going from recent to rookie. So he was the starter.
He's going as what, RB 30?
He's going currently as RB 33.
Yeah, so when has RB 33 ever hit 1,000 yards? That's not even what you're drafting him for. So I don't expect him to hit 1,000 yards. There's never been 33 running backs that had 1,000 yards in a season. So I'm not drafting him expecting 1,000 yards. I'm drafting him expecting 800 yards, and I think that's what he's going to get. And I think his touchdowns could be upside because we don't have a passing game. We don't have a tight end in the red zone. We have Malik Neighbors. That's it. So when it comes to the red zone, I think we're going to be handing it off to Devin Singletary because Tyrone Tracy is going to get 0 carries in the red zone. Legitimately, probably 0.
Are you taking any shot on either of your tight ends?
No.
Danny Bellinger or Theo Johnson?
No. Good God, no. I wouldn't even draft them in like a starting 2 tight end league, 12 teams, 24 tight ends. I wouldn't even.
So Singletary's rookie year was Frank Gore.
Okay.
And they split starts. They both started 8 games. And then it was Zach Moss, 2020, 2021. And then 2022 was Zach Moss and James Cook. And James Cook was the backup. I just see minimal upside with Devin Singletary. Like,
yeah, he's running back 33. You don't need upside at running back 33, TJ. You're drafting running back 33 is like a really good flex guy, and that's what
where he's going. I'm drafting upside. Like, I'd rather draft Brian Thomas Jr., who's going in the same 9th round range as Devin Singletary.
See, I have Singletary as my running back 27, so I'm taking Singletary over Brian Thomas Jr.
See that late, I'm going for big boom upside guys over safe floor guys, but also, like, that also depends on how your roster construct goes. Like, if you draft a bunch of risky guys at the beginning, you're going to want to draft the safe guys at the end. I just prefer calling my shot on dudes in that range.
I see Singletary as like a really safe RB3 for sure. I think he's going to be a consistent flex guy all season. I would be fine taking him in like the 9th around his ADP for sure. I have him above it for sure.
Yeah. He's a fine guy if you do a hero or 0 RB build.
Yeah. See, like, I'm looking at guys around him as like Tyron Spears, Gus Edwards, Chase Brown. Like, none of those guys are for sure the running back on their team. Blake Corum, Jalen Warren. But Devin Singletary is the guy. His backup is a 5th round pick who was a receiver in college. It took him 6 years to even realize he should be playing running back. But don't get me wrong, I think Tyrone Tracy's fine. I think he's going to be he's Antonio Gibson. That's how I see him. I don't think he's a clear number 1. I don't think he's going to get a ton of carries. I don't think his body's capable of getting a ton of carries.
Well, Antonio Gibson had an RB1 finish 1 year.
Yeah, PPR-wise.
Guy.
Yeah, how many catches did he have that year? A ton.
That I don't know. I don't have it in front of me.
And,
I'm saying, I think that's...
Yeah, but
that's
now where's Antonio Gibson? He's getting undrafted because he's not good.
People still love that guy.
Yeah, me, and I'm one of them. When he went to New England, I'm like, he has a legitimate chance to be an option here. Wrong. Wrong. Stop believing in Antonio Gibson, Nick. He's dog shit.
So that year he had 42 catches, which was third in his career in catches. He had 1,000 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. And then his rookie year, he had 11 touchdowns, 795 yards.
Man, what could have been with Antonio Gibson?
And then Ron Rivera showed up and was just like, "Fuck this guy."
I wouldn't blame that guy. I'd blame Antonio Gibson.
Yeah. I think Antonio Gibson's fine. All right. Anyone else you want to talk about on the Giants? Jalen Hyatt, Wan'dale Robinson, kind of Darius Slayton. They're just kind of there. I think any of them are fine guys. You're higher on Wan'dale.
I think Wan'dale could be a real good option in PPR. I think he's real shifty. I think this is going to be the season as well with Danny Jones. Like, if Wan'dale doesn't do anything this year, he's gone. Like, it's how it's going to be. Like, he hasn't been productive. He's super talented. He just needs to put it all together.
He's got to stay healthy, too.
Exactly, and that's what it comes down to. Like, if these guys can just stay healthy, which we did 2 years ago, and look what happened when the Giants stayed healthy with Bellinger as the head coach, with Danny Jones at quarterback. He was healthy all year. We made it to the playoffs. We got a playoff win. I'm not going to bring up who we beat. I'm not going to do that to you, TJ. And then we lost to Philly in the playoffs. Like, we made it to the next round and played Philly. And that was only 2 years ago. Like, yeah, last year was rough. Our whole team was hurt. And I'm not trying to sit here and say we're going to be good, because I think we're going to beat dog shit. But we're a really good coached team with a really good defense. We've improved a lot on the defensive side of the ball. We drafted really well this season. Our offensive line is going to be decently improved. I think we're going to have a lot of close games.
All right. Final team in the division, the Big Howdies, the Washington Commanders. 4-13 last year, plus 900 to win the division. That's third. Projected win total of 6.5. They got
banking my life savings on over that, dude. 6.5.
6.5.
To ESPN bets, I go way over, dude.
These are all on DraftKings. I don't know what their win totals are on any other betting site. Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, average draft position, 9th round. He's going to QB 12. Is it a bold prediction if I say Jaden Daniels breaks the rookie rushing record for quarterbacks?
What is it?
815.
No, he could beat that. I think he could shatter it out, to be honest.
So you don't think that's bold? You don't think that's bold enough? I don't got anything. I was going to say the rookie. Anything.
Well, I was going to say that. I'm not saying that's bold because I'm about to say Washington can make the play. Yes. I'm crazy high on Washington, dude.
Well, originally it was like, oh, well, what's the rookie rushing record just in total? And it's 1,800. It's 1,800 yards. And he's not touching that.
Who was that?
Eric Dickerson.
Oh, okay, dog.
Yeah, but there we go. 815 yards
of the game
by RG3.
Whoa, foreshadowing.
Well, hopefully he doesn't go the route of RG3.
Hey man, I'll take a rookie of the year season out of J.
Okay. What if I say he breaks the rookie rushing record and the rookie rushing touchdown record?
There you go. I'll allow it.
Because that's 14.
Hey yo, that's a lot.
By Cam Newton. Yeah. I'm higher on Jaden Daniels than that ADP. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a great like everyone's all in on the Anthony Richardson bandwagon. Like they want Anthony Richardson to be that dude. I hope he is. Well, the majority of the community is. Like they're projecting him to be this superstar.
Yeah. I know what they're doing.
Jaden Daniels is kind of not being talked about. I have them back to back in my ratings.
Yeah, me too. I actually have Daniels above him. So
I would rather take Jaden Daniels because I'm getting him in the 9th round.
I think those two guys
Anthony Richardson in the 5th
should be drafted very close to each other. Like, sure, Anthony Richardson, we've seen the 3 games last year. Jaden Daniels has played so much more football than Anthony Richardson has. Yeah, he's got 3 games under his belt in the NFL. Jaden Daniels has seasons in college where he was playing out of the work, and then he transferred to LSU, went 40 touchdowns, 4 picks, had an crazy out-of-pocket season, won fucking Heisman, I'm pretty sure, last season. And then he's stepping into Washington. I'm pretty sure he won Heisman.
I don't know. Keep going.
He stepped into Washington, and Washington has done this amazing transformation with coaches this year. They've brought in Heisman. They've brought in so many good coaching staffs from the top to the bottom, elite coaches. They've brought in people that have worked in like the head office of the NFL itself to bring onto the coaching staff. Jaden Daniels is in a legitimate great spot.
Like, and he's got an offensive coordinator who has already worked with a guy with similar talents of Jaden Daniels and Kyler Murray in Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah. Kingsbury loves running quarterbacks, dude. And like, sure, he gets like all of this shit for what he did in Arizona, but he's kind of like Kellen Moore. Regardless of how he is as a head coach, he is going to step as a coordinator and be elite. Cliff Kingsbury is an elite offensive coordinator, like regardless of what people say. And then you throw him a guy like Jaden Daniels, who has an elite arm, like deep field wise, and then his mobility is arguably as good as Kyler Murray's.
He's a pass first quarterback. Like, people forget that. Like,
yeah, for sure.
He can sling it. Like, I'm not big on his arm strength, but he's got good deep accuracy, and his arm is NFL level. Like, I wouldn't say he's got the best arm, but like his arm's fine. And I do worry about the lack of weapons here in Washington. They shipped off Jahan Dotson. Yeah. So now we're looking at Terry McLaurin, who we've talked about. He's being drafted at wide receiver 30 in the 6th round. Deep wide receivers are deep. So like Terry McLaurin always finishes as a wide receiver 2. I think that's in the realm. He should because he's going to get a ton of work.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler's there, Brian Robinson's there, like not a ton. Zach Ertz, Ben Sinnott, and then like his other receivers are Alameda Zacchaeus and Diami Brown.
Yeah,
ain't nobody drafting either of those dudes.
No, the one dude had like 10 catches last year. Trading Dotson still blows my mind.
Yeah. Luke McCaffrey's there too. They drafted him in the 3rd.
Who I hear is like competing for like the 5th receiving spot on this team. So I don't even understand what's going on in Washington.
Yeah, Jamison Crowder is the other receiver in this.
He's going to end up being there too.
Yeah, he's likely going to be the slot guy, and Diami Brown's going to be the outside guy. Brown and Daniels have hooked up. They've made a lot of splashy plays in the preseason, but I'm not going to bank on Diami Brown having a successful preseason and be like, I'm going to draft this guy. He might be a waiver wire guy. Like, if he comes out and blows up week 1, okay, I'm going to spend a little fab on that dude. But Washington-wise, I really only want 2 dudes on this team. And it's Jaden Daniels and it's Brian Robinson Jr. I think they're both insane values. Like, I think Terry going in the 6th, you're getting him close to where he's going to end up finishing.
Yeah.
Like, Brian Robinson Jr. in the 8th, Cliff Kingsbury utilizes his running backs, and Brian Robinson Jr., I think, pairs well in the James Conner role for Cliff Kingsbury. And I think Eckler's washed. I do. I don't want to buy in on him. I'm going to buy in on the youth. I think Brian Robinson can catch. Remember, Brian Robinson was like a top 5 running back last year before getting banged up, and then he ended up finishing as an RB2, and he's being drafted at 29th.
Mm-hmm. I do like Robinson at his ADP for sure, but I also don't mind Austin Eckler this year in a PPR league. I will state that. If you're not doing PPR, even half-point PPR, it's still kind of pushing it. But full-point PPR, I think Eckler has a legitimate chance to be Austin Eckler again. With the type of offensive Cliff, oh my God, I cannot say that guy's fucking name, dude.
Just call him Cliff.
Cliffy boy. The type of offense he runs, like, especially with Dotson not there now, there's a legit chance Austin Eckler is the number 2 receiving option in this field.
Let's be real, it's going to end up being Zach Ertz.
Although, I didn't get there yet. You didn't bring up how you didn't want Zach Ertz. If you punt in the tight end position and you want to say, fuck it, I want a guy that's going to get 8 catches a game, possibly, Zach Ertz is your guy. He's only going to have 40 yards. But the way Cliffy boy, I almost fucked it up again. Cliff Kingsbury loves Zach Ertz. He will take a bullet for that guy. I'm confident.
This is Arizona all over again. They had Zach Ertz. They brought in Trey McBride. They spent draft capital on Trey McBride. That dude barely saw the field as a rookie. Even his second year, his breakout year.
Yeah.
Like, Zach Ertz was still in the team. Zach Ertz got hurt. And that's where Trey McBride ended up just taking the job. So now, my dude, Ben Sinnott, is now living Trey McBride's past life.
Yeah, he's living that nightmare.
and Zach Ertz. Ben Sinnott has looked great this preseason.
So good, dude. He's like, so good.
He's looked so good. I'm like, I want draft capital of him, but like, he's not going to play because Cliff Kingsbury loves Zach Ertz. Like, I hope Washington realizes that, like, Zach Ertz just keeps getting older. I hope they're just like, let's use Ben Sinnott as a receiver. Like, there's passing to go around here. Like, I hope that is, but like, I'm kind of out on Ben Sinnott just because, like, he's going in the 16th. He's going as tight end 24.
But it's because he's a draft capital. Like, he's a second round pick in an offense that realistically doesn't have receiving options. Like, the way you look at it, they don't have it. But when you really look at who's the coordinator, who's really on this team, being Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Brian Robinson, these guys are going to get work. Like, Eckler, just last season, was arguably drafted RB1. It was him and McCaffrey. Yeah. Like, those two guys were the lock at RB, like the running back position.
Yeah, so he's currently going as RB34 at the 9-11 in the Twin Towers spot. Washington last year, they were 27th in rushing, 15th in passing. 15th in passing despite, like, throwing the ball more than any other team in football.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well,
and they could only
Sam
get
Howell's
15.
Dog shit. Like, he's bad.
Sam, I'm going to
quick
also
bring
for
this up
throwing
about,
all that, like,
I'm going to bring this up about Eckler real quick.
Around too much.
Eckler played 14 games last year, which is, he missed 3 games, and he still finished his PPR running back 26, which is still almost RB2. And he missed 3 games, and now he's going into an offense, if he stays healthy, for all 17, with Cliffy Boy as the coordinator, Daniels, who's going to check the ball down at some point because he's a rookie quarterback, and there's not much options in the passing game. There's a legitimate chance Austin Eckler's a running back too. Like, he was almost it last year, and he looked washed. He looked bad, and he still finished RB26.
He was hurt. The ankle, like, it could be 100%. That Austin Eckler, it could just be Austin ankles. It could just be that, like, he was just hurt, and maybe he's not washed. But I watched him play. He didn't, like, he looked hurt. He looked banged up. Like, he looked washed. I don't think he's
as washed as people think he is.
See, I don't think people think he's washed. I think only I think he's washed.
No, people really said it last year. Right? This dude's fucking washed. This guy's bad.
Like, he's going in the same range as Brian Robinson, and I would take Brian Robinson 2 rounds before I would touch Austin Eckler.
See, I have them guys. I have them back to back in my rankings. It's based off what you want roster wise, and if you're playing full point PPR, I think Eckler has a legitimate chance to outscore him. I really do.
So I have Eckler at 41, and I have Brian Robinson at 28. I'm in on Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson, it could be really good. And, like, if you do want to take the shot on Eckler, going, like, 9th round, almost a 10th, okay. Like, he could be it. He could be, like, it could be, I could be here next year and be like, you know what? I was wrong about Austin Eckler. He's still got it.
How did Austin Eckler finish RB4? What the fuck?
I'm just blinded by what he did to me last year.
If you take out last year, he finished RB26. He was banged up, though. The year before, RB1. The year before that, RB2. The year before that, only played in 10 games, RB26. So he was banged up, still almost an RB2. The year before that, RB4. So, like, when the dude's banged up, he still finishes almost as an RB2. He finishes right on the outside. And if he plays and healthy every year, he's shown that he's great. So, like, it's not the pathway for him to be good. It's still there. So, like, I don't want people to forget about Austin Eckler. Like, he's still there.
He could volume his way
100%
to a top, especially with, like, him and Brian Robinson. They could both be top 20, top 25 running backs.
Brian Robinson could be the touchdown guy. He can get 12 touchdowns and 800 yards, and Eckler could have 60, 70 catches. He could have a very Kamara year, Alvin Kamara. He could be that kind of player, and where the gap between them is crazy difference, and I get it. Kamara is way more consistent than Eckler the last year for sure.
And there's no one touching Alvin Kamara's workload.
That is true. The Taysom Hill was behind him. So
yeah. All right. Anybody else you want to talk about in Washington? You got it. Terry McLaurin, we really didn't talk about him too much, but, like, he's safe. Like, if you go running back heavy, Terry McLaurin's a fine. You got a good 12 points per game wide receiver.
He's gonna finish. And his ceiling isn't really crazy high. I think it's like receiver 22, maybe. That's where I'd put it. That's where I'd roundabout have his ceiling.
Yeah.
But I think his floor is right there too. I think it's like 28. Like it's such a small window.
He's going at wide receiver 30. I think that's his floor.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to finish below his ADP, but I don't think he's going to finish much above it. But he's a really good player. I can't say legitimately enough good things about Terry McLaurin, and especially now with Daniels as quarterback. Like he's got a legitimate option. With Sam Howell last year was just awful
throwing the ball
quarterback.
To everybody. He's throwing the ball to everyone.
That's because he doesn't understand how to like use his reads. Like he would just look downfield and be like, "Someone's fucking down there, throw it." Yeah, you know, he's down there somewhere. The other fucking team's down there, you idiot. Jesus Christ, dude. And Daniels isn't going to do that. He's a super safe quarterback. We brought up he went 40 for 4 last year at LSU. It's a different game, obviously, but he's a way different breed compared to Sam Howell, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super athlete. Like, I love getting Jaden. Like, if he's the guy to get if you don't get one of the top quarterbacks, and insane value. Like,
I think it's crazy that Caleb Williams is going above Jaden Daniels in fantasy. I think that's crazy. I think it's dumb. It's no offense to Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be an outstanding pro quarterback. Fantasy, it's a different game, dude. Like, Jaden Daniels should be drafted to where, like, Justin Fields was going, and he's an elite passer. Like, he looks like Peyton Manning compared to Justin Fields passing a ball.
I look like Peyton Manning compared to Justin Fields.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Jaden Daniels is an elite. Like, he's gonna be a good passing quarterback. So, like, I think he's going crazy late, dude. Like, I can't go in enough on Jaden Daniels, dude.
In regards to Caleb, I think 2-3 years from now, Caleb's gonna be a superstar in fantasy. But as a rookie,
100%.
He doesn't have that rushing upside that Jaden Daniels does to break the game.
Yeah,
and that's pairing Jaden Daniels with like Jared Goff or Brock Purdy is like
it's safe.
The dream if you miss out on like anyone, even Jordan Love and up. Tua. Yeah. If you miss out on Jordan Love, Kyler, Joe Burrow, Dak, getting Jaden Daniels with one of those other guys, that's the dream. That's how you want to build your team.
Getting Jaden Daniels with like a pocket quarterback is because that pocket quarterback is going to finish borderline top 12. So and then Jaden Daniels has the ability to finish way above that with his rushing ability. Yep. So you could be walking away with 2 really late round quarterbacks who finish well above ADP.
All right. How's this division pan out?
Philly at the top, Giants at the bottom. That's my sandwich right now. And then in between, we'll put Dallas second, Washington third.
I agree with the Giants at the bottom. I agree with Washington 3. Philly's finishing second. Dallas finishing first. Nick Sirianni's getting fired. The Eagles are missing the playoffs despite having an offensive surge. Clown coach. Eagles fans can come at me. I don't care.
He's pretty clownish for sure. I remember him talking about the rock, paper, scissors shit his first year with fucking... He's a clown, bro. Like, I get it.
He's not the good clown like Harbaugh in Los Angeles. He's the good clown. That man's ridiculous. Did you hear about the elevator thing?
No.
The Chargers players got stuck in the elevator?
No.
Oh, and they like climbed out through the roof of the elevator. It was like Herbert, Dan Fouts' kid was there, Dan Fouts' wife, and like some other players and like family and legends.
Jesus Christ.
And Harbaugh was just like, oh, that's a great like team build. I wish I was there with those guys, and I wish like I could be there. Like, it's such a bonding experience. You hold that like they're trapped in an elevator. Like,
oh my God, a tragic life event. And Harbaugh was like, yo,
I wish I was there.
I wish I could have balled out with my boys in that elevator.
I wish I could have boosted him out.
Sirianni is a clown, but so is the city of Philly, and he kind of fits in with that dumb clown mentality that they have.
Yes.
And they all eat off each other.
Yeah.
And they're all a bunch of, but hey, man, I do love the talent in Philly.
Right. You do.
So
I think the city of Philadelphia is going to turn on Nick Sirianni this year. I do.
That's 100% it's in the possibility. He's that kind of coach. But I think the team's too talented. I think they're going to be really, really good with the new offensive coordinator.
Kellen Moore. Dak Prescott wins MVP. That's my other thing for Dallas. Him or Jordan Love. They're going to be MVPs this year. One of them two.
That's a smart choice. I would also like to rescind that the Bears will make the playoffs, and I would like to give that spot to Washington. I'm more in on Washington.
Oh, wow.
I'm more in on Washington
Okay.
than I am the Bears.
Okay.
I think Jaden Daniels is gonna be really good, dude. Like, I think he's gonna be really good, dude. Like, Jaden Daniels, rookie of the year. If he's not the favorite, go lock that in as a bet somewhere. I don't know who the favorite rookie of the year is right now. But,
probably Caleb, I would assume.
Oh, it might be Marv, dude. It might be one of the receivers, but I think that's a long shot. I think it's gonna be Daniels, dude.
Jaden Daniels is the betting odds favorite to win rookie of the year.
Look at that. Surprise. Look at
Marv's 2.
Malik 3 or Caleb 3.
I can't really read. Okay, here we go. I have a list. Oh, it depends on where you go. Oh, nope. It is Caleb Williams. Then Jaden. Then Marv. Then Bo Nix.
God, big Bo, baby. Big Bo in the house. That's real dog shit right there.
Malik Neighbors is 5.
Okay.
No. I hope all the rookie quarterbacks get to play this year, except JJ McCarthy because he can't. But
Sad.
like Drake May's looked so good here at the end of preseason.
Yeah, he's really turning it on for sure.
Looking good. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, they're so much fun. Like, I hope all 4 of them get tons of playing time. It's like Jared Mayo's even come out and was just like, oh yeah, Drake May's outplaying Jacoby Brissett. But Brissett's going to be the starter because there's other things we got to look at right now.
Because it's the NFL.
That line's the worst. Because that line is the worst, and Drake May made that. All right, wrapping that up. NFC East in the books. NFC South up next. So we'll dive into in my eyes, the weakest division in the NFC, but even so, still better than the AFC West, which was a dud.
It is weak, but the teams are all really kind of close, which makes it really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about I'll talk about it later.
There's just no quarterbacks in this division, sans Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but that kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, we've talked about the weapons there. All right, NFC done. Drafted Up Podcast, guys. Follow us over on Twitter at draftedup_pod. Like, rate, subscribe, review over on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you watch or listen. We always appreciate it. Spread the word. Do it up. Do what you guys need to do. Thanks as always as listening.
Oh yeah.
To the Drafted Up Podcast. Adios.
Bye.